It's time for City Beat, your source for all the latest news on the city of Thompson. Only on 102.9 CHTM, your radio station.
Welcome to City Beat. I'm Sue O'Brien, and I'm joined by Mayor Dennis Fenske. And there's lots to talk about this week, Dennis, so we'll get started. And just a quick reminder to listeners, if you have a question for the mayor, call us at 677-8181. So Dennis, at City Council this week, there were two presentations, one on the point-in-time count survey, and there was also one by the Thompson Crisis Center on the community action plan to reduce violence against women and girls. So let's talk about the pit count survey first. So what were your thoughts?
Well, I think this is a good thing to do. It's done locally, but there's a national program as well. It gives you some data, starts to give you some data of the homelessness situation in our community. It assists in, from the municipal government perspective, in our lobby efforts, always asked about statistics and data. And now that these point-in-time studies are being done, we have that data, and we can follow the trends and react to the trends as they move up and down throughout our community.
Okay, and were you surprised with the results? I mean, they really didn't change that much out from the first time that the count was. Originally, we had 126 in 2015 that were considered homeless, and this past year is 118.
Yeah, I think the numbers didn't really surprise me. Within the context of the profile, what did surprise me, and I mentioned it at council, is that I think the number, and I may be a little off on it, but I think the number was 80% or so have a high school education. So this speaks to the issue of addictions and mental health issues, that obviously things have happened in people's lives that have changed their path, and it's not due to a lack of education in the early stages of their life, but it's just circumstances that have brought to them where they are today.
And one thing I found that was interesting too is 28% said that they first became homeless before the age of 20.
Yeah.
Now I just think that that's really sad, that you have these young people who are feeling that they've got no place to go.
Absolutely, and that's a national epidemic in that sense. You watch the stories that come out of Vancouver and the tent city in Victoria. The same scenario. A lot of the homeless people are younger. We see the same thing in the larger centers in Toronto and Montreal, and across Canada, small centers like ourselves. It's no different, and it's a sad, as you say, it's a sad statement on society when you've got kids, and that's what they are, kids under 20 that are homeless for whatever reason.
Yeah. Okay, and then with the Crisis Center, it seemed kind of timely that they came in with their community action plan, because a lot of the elements that they touched on were also touched on by the information that came out of that pit count survey. Violence against women, homelessness, the lack of affordable housing. So what role do you think that City Council has to play in improving those conditions?
Well, I think from specifically to the Crisis Center, it was a very good report, and I want to thank Kim Hicks for the work that was done on that. What it provides, again, from the city's perspective, it provides us with the statistics that we need to move forward the lobbying efforts for things like more housing, more low-cost housing, which is prevalent in both reports that were given as leading indicators or leading contributors to this situation, whether it be domestic violence or homelessness. And so it provides that data. Secondly, through our RCMP policing, community policing, domestic violence has always been a high priority and continues to be a high priority in our community. And so it was interesting to hear the statistics. It's sad that we still have those situations occurring on a almost regular basis. But again, quantifying that is that this is not a local isolated incident. This is a national issue that all levels of government and social agencies need to work with to better educate men in particular in regards to domestic abuse. I don't know the specific data, but I'm sure it's quite high that most of the instigators of domestic institute are males, and so that's something that has to be addressed earlier on in the education process in regards to respecting each other, respecting women in particular, from a relationship perspective. And so from a municipal perspective, our job is to lobby and to provide access or or funds to agencies that can deal with the frontline situations. And one of them, as Kim mentioned in her report, is the need for that transitional housing. And we've been working on that in regards to the social issues downtown with the addictions and mental health issues, but also it also ties into domestic violence in the need for transitional housing. As a person leaves a situation, they're into the crisis center for a short period of time, and in a lot of cases there's not an option to go to a second level of transitional housing as they deal with the situation. In a lot of cases they're thrown right back into the situation that they came from, and unfortunately are back into the system and usually back into the crisis center not too much shortly after that.
Yeah, it's really a revolving door sometimes.
Absolutely.
And speaking about much needed housing, what's currently happening with the Lions Seniors project?
I think it's in the last stages. Councillor Byer is heavily involved with that, as well as Nick DeVirgilio and Curtis Ross as the project manager. I think they're in the last steps with the province in regards to the funding and getting the T's crossed and I's dotted. It has been delayed over time, but I think we're sitting pretty much at completion in regards to paperwork, and hopefully we can get shovels in the ground this year.
Okay, that would be great. And this is just something that I was made aware of this morning because I called one of the local towing companies to have an unneeded vehicle towed away, but was told that there's no place in town that's currently taking them, including the garbage dump. And I was kind of told that this was just something that has manifested itself in the last couple of weeks. So what's supposed to happen with derelict vehicles then? Because we don't want them sitting in our driveways. I know I don't.
Absolutely, and that's you're absolutely right. It's come up in most recently with a change in regulations, specifically from the city-owned landfill site. We no longer are able to take derelict vehicles. We used to stockpile them for a contractor who would come up and crush them and load them and take them south, as well as some businesses in the community would provide that stockpiling service as well. And then the contractor, when there was enough metal or automobiles available, would come up, crush and take them south. So right now we are in the situation, as you stated, there is no spot to drop these vehicles so that they can be stockpiled in order to get enough weight and enough metal, I guess, in place to make it financially viable for someone to come north, crush them, and take them back south. So we're dealing with the local businesses and with government, the province as well, and hopefully some contractors that we can alleviate the issue. But right now it's a regulation issue from the landfill site, and unfortunately some of the businesses and community that used to offer that service no longer offer that service. So it's an issue right now. So derelict vehicles, unfortunately, have no place to go. They're an eyesore, but we're working on trying to rectify that.
Okay, all right. And we all know that there's a very busy weekend ahead. It's Nickel Days weekend. And the President's reception was last night, and the honorary King Miner and honorary Driller were announced.
Absolutely. And so Earl Timmons and Ted Sentner were the honorary Driller and Miner, both longtime Valet Inco employees, I think in the 30-year plus, 36, 37-year plus. And so appropriate choices for that. With that, as you mentioned, the Nickel Days weekend began last night with the President's reception, and gates open today at 4 o'clock, and then the softball begins on Friday at 6. The National King Miners contest, which we talked about, starts on Saturday morning at 9 a.m. The Lions Club Parade starts at 10 a.m. That's why, just as a safety share, there are sweepers out today in preparation for Nickel Days, so be aware of the sweepers. And also, we're continuing our water main renewal project on Selkirk and Station Road, so you'll see backhoes and trucks and heavy equipment in that area, so just be cautious of the barricades and the vehicles as well.
Okay, and with the starting at 4 o'clock today, there's still a charge for the people to get into the gate, isn't it?
Yeah, the gates open today, and the charges are there. So I think fees-wise, adults are $10 for day pass, students 6, seniors are 6, children are 5. Weekend passes, adult are 20, student 12, senior 12, and children are 10.
Okay. And what about the parking? We know now that the parking lot is actually no longer a parking lot. It's the fairgrounds. It's the Midway. And what about busing? Is
Yeah.
there free busing?
Yeah, so in regards to transit, we encourage people to use the transit system on the weekend, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday. For that, there is limited parking, so we're hoping that the weather will complement us for the weekend. So if there's a chance to walk or take a bike or park off site, please do. There is limited parking, and it's going to be a busy weekend. So make the right choices in regards to getting to and from Nickel Days.
All right. Well, that's it for this edition of City Beat. Catch us again next Thursday at the same time here on 102.9 CHTM. Thanks for joining us. I'm Sue O'Brien.
City Beat will be back next Thursday morning at 11:50.